not a drill, this is not a drill. All warriors mount up. Proceed to nav point Gamma. Rendezvous with Mobile HQ for tactical and situational analysis. Welcome to the MHQ Podcast.
With me, and this is the Mobile Headquarters Podcast, Episode 3.
Hey.
Take it away, Bradley.
Hey, everybody. One of the good things that our group has been doing has been playing a proactive campaign, which Randall Snyder was the brains behind it, coming up with the writing of the materials. And, of course, a lot of us being the playtester. We came to the conclusion of coming up with the campaign rules when Alpha Strike, the rulebook, Master's Edition, just showed us it's a good system to play with, but it's just not really that cup of tea that most players want to have, to where if one player wins the first battle and wins the second one, they're guaranteed to win the third one. There's no challenge to play past the second game, because you already know you're going to lose. What's the thrill in losing? There's no chance to take victory from the jaws of defeat. Which is why I think Randall came up with the campaign and bounced a lot of ideas with me as far as the longevity of the game and how it plays out in the game. Definitely, for sure. Randall, why don't you go ahead and talk a bit about the campaign, since you're the brains behind it all, bro, and we'll go ahead and start from that, man.
All right, yeah, and like Bradley was talking about, when Alpha Strike first came out, there was the Chaos campaign that was in the back of the book, and yeah, we did a couple play tests through it, and whoever won got more victory points, and there was no way to really pull yourself out of that ditch. So from that, there was also the abstractness of the system. There were no maps, no solid objectives. It was just the flow from one track to the other. And it just didn't feel like it was something you could visualize. So having played other games, other campaign formats, I like having a map. And it kind of started out with pulling up this program, Hexographer. And I was like, this thing could work. And started messing around with just little ideas with it. But from start to finish, you get to run your mercenary group through a full mission, doing a planetary assault, basically. You hit certain objectives. If you achieve those objectives, you get paid, and then you can track your progress over time. So after you get paid, you go back, you do your repairs, you can upgrade forces that need to be upgraded. You can even do ad hoc field repairs and stuff. So loading on more equipment. You want smoke generator, you can add a smoke generator to your system.
Oh yeah, dude. That's one thing I gotta say, dude. I like that our campaign is we utilize everything that's Alpha Strike cards, from A-27 transports to the cargo aircraft to even drones. Everything has a place in this campaign, bro. That's what I think I love about it the most, bro.
Yeah, we dug through all sorts of books to try to include as much as possible. The Maximum Tech and those old campaign guides, from even the Mercenaries guides. Wherever Sarna kind of said this rule was, we went looking for it to see if we could find something.
Yeah, as long as we always playing with house rules, we came up with the first notion of, all right, if we come up with a rule, there's got to be a positive and negative to it. Just like Ron brought it to our light about Narc system, and I think we're going to imply that in their next campaign setting for us to test and utilize, and I think it sounds fair.
Yeah, so why don't we cover that? So, we've got a lot of house rules that we've introduced in the campaign, trying to keep it at as minimal to changing the rules from the Alpha Strike book, but there are a couple things that we did think made sense. One example is when you attack infantry inside of a building, sometimes they're occupying the building that you want to capture. You can't destroy it. So instead of destroying the building, we came up with the using your anti-personnel weapons. So you're basically using your little small lasers and machine guns to try to gun down troops out of the building individually. So that's one that you preserve the building, but kill the troops inside.
Yeah, definitely get them.
Another one was the narc. So I'm not so familiar with that one. That one's one that you guys were working on. So why don't you guys kind of chit chat about that?
Ron, you're the one that found out about that, bro. Why don't you go ahead and tell us about it? Ron. All right, technical difficulties on Ron's part. Comstar is cutting him off. Anyways, like in the classic rule books, this is where we came up with this notion is at hello?
Yep, you're live.
Okay, making sure. Is we found out that narc didn't work the same way as it does in classic. In classic, if you narc a target with a narc system, you don't need a spotter to hit it. But what happens is you would get a +2 to your missile to hit column table if you had a spotter and a narc was being used and the target could be seen. You would get a +2 to your dice roll, which implicates in Alpha Strike the extra 0.1 of damage if a unit is narked. The rule that we're looking at implying into this to cover narc in a much better way, that's a house rule, which I think is more in line with classic rule, is that if a unit is narked and it's behind cover and there's no spotter, it still can be spotted by the unit firing at it. Except for getting a +1 point of damage, you get no plus modifier to your damage attack. And I think that's a good example of us taking a house rule and making it balanced and fair for our campaign game.
So, Bradley, so you're saying if one of my units targets one of your mechs, gets a successful narc hit on it, and then it goes behind the building, I can still target it even though I've lost line of sight.
Got that right, because the narc beacon is screaming, "Hey, hit me over here!"
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, that's what I wanted to make sure is understood, because I've played a couple of classic games around here in Armada, and definitely the narc rules was totally different than when I had it in Alpha Strike. So it totally confused the daylights out of me. So I'm glad we're going to make sure that it's a workable rule for the campaign. Appreciate that aspect, guys.
Yeah, and there's like tag is another one. So if you've tagged somebody, they should also be treated as if they were spotted. So right now the rule, it's ambiguous in the rule book. It's like for indirect fire, it's like, does your unit have tag? Then you get a -1 to your attack. But we've always played with you have to actually roll to hit with tag. If that's the case, they should be treated as if they were spotted as well.
I agree with that 100%. As you know, I like tag, so anything to emphasize tag and be able to use that is good. But I think that the rule where they have it, where it's an automatic -1 to hit, just simply because the unit has tag, it did make no sense to me. I definitely felt like in order to get the bonus, you have to hit with the tag. You have to paint the target. No.
Yeah, I'd like to see that become standard for thing. I know Alpha Strike is still trying to streamline things, and that's why they did it. They were just like, okay, make it a modifier instead of an extra roll. Okay, fine. But you have these other rolls for narc. I mean, why not just give, if you're within range of a narc, 24 inches, why not give them a automatic +1, -1? Yeah, if you're going to be, this is one of the things that kills me. I've written role-playing games, I've written other game systems, and inconsistent rules drive me up the wall. So if you have one system for this thing and then a different system for that one, it just makes me
that eye switch, like, what? Really? No, man. And then that's how you have discrepancies at a game table. When person goes, well, it doesn't work that way in classic. Some players are going to say, well, this is not classic, it's Alpha Strike. That may be true, but it's still based on classic. Therefore, the equipment should still work as a way of like it did in classic. It's
yeah, or at least as close to it as possible.
Now, that's one thing about our campaign is we really put the rules through a test bin, not just throwing them in there and go, oh, let's just see how it plays out. No, this is like what, the 4th reset for me as far as a campaign army.
Yeah, this is going to be my 4th one.
So
also,
I'm hoping this is the last one, that we're going to be doing a reset on. So with that, let's see what else we can talk about as far as our campaign goes. You have the introduction. You have the chapters are introduction, players' roles, drafting a mercenary force, getting hired, opposition battle groups, areas of operations, sites, phases of the mission, orders and actions. That's an important one. Special equipment, special rules, after action phases, alternative campaign formats. Is those complications.
Yeah,
I
complications. Yeah.
love the little twist of that. That really puts some lore into the campaign.
But we also need to stress that the campaign is very customizable, because you can, to introduce someone, you can dumb down the rules and not bring the full breadth of everything that's in there. Chop it down a bit, and it's very user friendly in that aspect too, where you can bring someone aboard and teach them the campaign mission, or how to run, how to build a force, and the like. It's all there in the first couple of chapters of the guide, and they're even in the back. There's a bunch of sample mechs from the 3025 era, of both Intersphere and Clan. Plus
all
other
the
units
there. Those are meant to be the stripped down guys, the bare bone, the planetary militia. They get all the hand me downs. Think of the National Guard. That's what they are.
Well, that's true, but there also could be the mechs you use to build your mercenary force, because you're not supposed to have top of the line, technology, So
Yeah,
it's a hit or a miss. I mean,
so this time I built my force completely random. I used the random allocation tables from the online forums that are all linked in the book. There's links everywhere, man. So like right after the introduction, there's links to video of getting started, giving you a summary. Has a link to the latest and greatest version. So it's a permanent link, and I update it. So whenever I update the version, I don't have to change the link. You just click on the link, you'll download the latest and greatest, and it includes links to the change log. So if you're confused about, hey, what's changed in this version, you can just skim over. So like in the latest version, 2.19 is what I'm calling it. I had some alternate ammo changes, bolt-on field modifications, had some changes to some aerospace rules to help make things work a little smoother. We got rid of the bombing run and replaced it with battlefield support stuff.
I remember you were talking about us implicating the support decks into this campaign game, dude. Did you get that squared away? Oh, I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, that's in there.
Okay. Question: which are you using, the Alpha Strike card set, or the one for Classic? Because there are two card sets out there.
It's from the Alpha Strike rules, so the cards are based off of the Alpha Strike Commander's Edition.
Hold on, I can tell you right there, real quick. In the Master Rule Book, there is a page inside of the Master Rule Book that has a detail of all of the support deck cards that are Alpha Strike. It's in the book. I'll look that up while you guys go ahead and talk more.
Okay, good enough. Yeah, so it sounds like the changes are going to streamline the game even more. And what I did when I built my force is I took this is going to be my second force, guys. My first force I've been playing for a while now. And when Bradley did the reset, I said, oh, great, here I go. What I have left with. And I don't even have a full company of mechs, because I want to have some combat vehicles, some support vehicles, infantry. I don't think I even have any helicopters in this one, just VTOLs in this first running of the game of this force.
Your first army shouldn't be all huge. It really shouldn't.
Yeah, so I'm comfortable with it. I'm comfortable with what I'm building.
What we decided to do for ours is just said 500 PV, build your force off of that. So in the campaign guide, it goes anywhere from 200 to 1200 PV.
Yeah.
Now you can pick it, you can roll it, you can get together like we did and say, okay, well, you've got a fixed budget, and everybody's going to do it. That's the flexibility of it. You guys decide.
Yeah, and that's what I went with, that 500 budget, and then I said, okay, I don't want to repaint mechs, so let me see what the mechs I have in my force, and I just went backwards from there and took them down, because I had them up till early clan invasion era, 3054 or less technology. So there were some nice ones in there, but I had to bring them back to 3025, and I did. And then I had to take a look at my vehicles and get those down to 3025, which left me with some of the vehicles that I was going to be removing from my force, like the Burks that I have. I was going to be removing those 2 tanks from the force, but I got it. They were around, so I get to use them. They're just not as strong as I would like. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's funny because I almost put alicorns in the mix, but then I decided to chill on that for now. Oh yeah, I'd laugh all you want, Bradley, but I was thinking the alicorns in order to give your tank units something to fight with. But I decided that wouldn't be true to my force, since I don't know if I'm going to change the story of my force, because this is also a narrative campaign, guys. If you're listening in for the first time, because we give all of our mech pilots I give it to my mech pilots, my VTOLs, my aerospace pilots, and my drivers of my combat vehicles. They all have a name, first and last name. Yeah, or call signs. Yeah, they all have that, and which gives it a narrative. During the first campaign, I lost my original commander of the force to a headshot, and then a fail and a fail. So she got killed off. And it's been interesting running through names of people I know, mixing them up in order to have a force list out
and
there.
you also get to track them over time. So
Yeah.
You might start with a skill 4 pilot. Say we'll just pull a Warhammer. Say you got a Warhammer with skill 4. He survives his first mission. You bump him down to a 3, but then you can buy on some special pilot abilities.
Yeah.
So now
that's coming on.
Yeah,
he's coming on.
Sharpshooter. Oh, it's been in the campaign, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can add on Sharpshooter to that guy, and then later on he survives his next mission. Now he's down to skill 2, and he's got some other thing. He's got, whatever, the antagonizer or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of a sudden you can have some really kick-ass characters.
Yeah. If they survive.
Yeah. And that's that was one of the things we had to do with house rules, is there were no destroyed unit, pilot, and crew survival rules. So we had to throw that into the campaign also.
Yeah, that's a good thing to have there, because just because a unit gets obliterated short of an artillery strike, ammunition explosion, that's the only way a character dies in your units. Or if they're in a VTOL and it gets shot from underneath by a pack rat, and you just lose your number 2 guy that just flames, but you get shot at by a dropship and not get hit at all. This is crazy.
Yeah. Note to self: VTOL pilots don't survive crashes very well.
Go squishy.
I would imagine
so.
Another thing, they're kind of hard for them to eject.
That Randall did with this also in chapter 3 is drafting a mercenary force, going in and telling you what are the limitations you can get. The rule of 2 is definitely in place in this one. You can only have one type of unit that's got a double. So you could have a lance with a marauder and 2 warhammers in it and something else, but you couldn't have another lance with 2 vedettes and 2 alicors. You couldn't do that from the beginning, starting it off. It stops somebody from having all the eggs right off the bat, because this is supposed to be about role playing too.
Yeah.
Well, so you're saying I can have 2
only doubles you can
start with?
Yes.
You can have up to 2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, then I'm fine.
Yeah.
2 Burks, 2 Pegasus.
Yeah, it just prevents you from spamming a whole bunch of Savannah Masters out there, right?
And then it.
Got 1,000 of them.
Yeah. I have enough to do that, guys, but I'm not going to do that to you guys.
Randall came up with was the getting hired phase. It basically in no time you can turn around and roll to see how many missions you have. You have so many options to pick to help dictate what type of money PV you're going to make from the mission, what type of missions you can get, pay increases. it's the sky's the limit when it comes to coming up with ways to produce your missions that you roll for.
No.
Yeah, a lot of that information came from campaign ops. So I didn't originate all of it, but a lot of it was expanded because campaign ops had just basically 1 or 2 lines on things, and I created mission objectives for each mission. And that's where you go, okay, well, you're doing a planetary assault, but what's your actual objective? Your objective is to capture a building or destroy a building or destroy the comms array.
Oh yeah, I mean, and definitely like how you did the contract options, where you can turn on a hire agent or you can do a contract agency. And what that does is it gives you modifiers to your dice roll and how many missions you can actually get. It gives you a better pick. Like instead of going with, gosh, all I got is garrison and this. Oh, neither one of these are paying me worth anything. But you can get another couple additional rolls, and then you automatically, all of a sudden, next you know, you're working for a major world leader, and you're doing a planetary assault where you're getting more money, all because you did get hired by that contract agency. But they're going to get 40%, but play smart on the game, on the board, you can generate enough PV to make it worthwhile having that contract agency help you get more missions.
Well, that's true, but that comes later on.
You get that
when
right
you're
off
first
the start.
starting and you're
That's
first getting
something
your missions.
Boom.
Yeah, that's right off the start.
Well, you have to pay PV for that, and if you built up a full force with 500 PV, you don't have the PV to do that.
Well, it comes out of your starting pay.
Okay.
So yeah, you get paid 50% up front. So say you get 150 PV.
Here's my question. The most recent book that I have, when it comes to the rewards, you can only be paid up to half of the PV you drop.
Right.
So if you roll a 600 PV mission, but you only have a 500 PV force, the maximum you can get paid is 250 PV on that mission.
Right, and you get paid half of that up front, so it'd be a 125 out of pocket.
Right, and
so
then
they take 40% of that if you took the contract agency.
Yeah, so it's one of those things you have to think about. You know, you might want to hold off until you get paid a couple of missions before you do something like that. Yeah, of course you wouldn't.
Well, the old rule, it was like a guaranteed benefit. The new rule has made it so it's not as guaranteed, but it definitely gives you a bonus. So when you roll up, first you roll up for your employer, and you get a bonus because you got the contract agency. And then the employer then gives you another bonus to how much you get paid. So like if you get a planetary power, it's like a +4 to your payment roll. Well, that might make up the difference for what you paid to the contractor or to the agency. So anyway, it's a lot easier than what it sounds like. There's a lot of little moving pieces. And to help with that, I've got the spreadsheet that I created. So we've got a spreadsheet that automates almost all of the mathematics. All you have to do is come up with your force, the PV of your total force to start, how much money you've got left over or PV you've got left over, and plug those numbers into the spreadsheet. And then you go through and basically line by line on the spreadsheet, follow through in the book and fill in the blanks. And it will calculate everything for you. I've gone through it about 5 times just doing some test forces, and I haven't found anything that really stands out except for garrison duty or cadre duty.
I do,
because those missions are different. They don't actually go through the full
cadre
formula.
duty and the garrison duty.
Well,
in the old classic games, it used to be you would get a combined. If you're doing cadre duty, they would automatically throw a garrison contract into it as well, as part of like a secondary mission. So, like, if I ever get a chance to roll a garrison and do a cadre, I'm gonna take both.
Oh yeah. And that's the other thing is if you get a big force, say you've got 1,200 PV force with 48 units in your force, you can take multiple missions.
Right.
They're they're supposed to be run in theory simultaneously. You know how BattleTech is; everything happens simultaneously. So you do one mission, and then you recruit an opposing player for your second mission.
Right. I think it's interesting because I finally got a force big enough that I can do that, and we're doing a reset. But it is what it is. It's good to have a reset because everybody gets to start off at a lower pace, a lower technology level, which evens the battlefield a lot of ways.
Okay, you remember
and we can get new people to play.
In our prior setup, you turn around and got my dropship. You remember that, right? You sent your fighters, you took and went, you got the dropship.
Oh, yeah.
But what happened to you right after that?
Right.
Correct.
You landed another dropship, doubled your mech force on the planet.
That is the reason why I want us to, in this campaign, everybody to start off at 500. I don't want one player or the other player to have the ability to finance total warfare like that.
Right. No, I understand it. I'm totally.
It'll grow.
I'm happy with the 500 point force to start with. So that's. Oh yeah, I know it'll grow. I knew my previous force grew from, I think it was 600 PV to 1900 PV in the 3 years that I played it. But I kept playing it without restarts because it was my first force, and I liked the force. Even though a lot of the mechs that were in there up until most recently were basically the exact same mechs and models that I picked up when I first started playing it. So they were Third Succession War era mechs for the most part. I did have some newer mechs as they came along, and then I built my forces by the mechs that I took off the battlefield as salvage.
Yeah, that was something
when the salvage rules were wide open. Now, yeah, that's been fixed, which slows down that part. But it was always, to me, it was fun. And Bradley, the reason I attacked your dropship is because Randall taught me that if you leave your dropship, it's going to get attacked. And you're not the only dropship that I took out. I actually took out one of Randall's dropships.
That was hilarious and sad.
Yeah, I pretty much captured his entire mercenary force. But that was due to a lot of lucky rolls too.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
No, unlucky rolls.
Where Randall
on your part.
For opposition forces. I mean, when he built this, he made it to where also like, hey, okay, who's going to be the opposition force? You may not want to play your army versus mine. Be like, nah, I feel like playing the opposition. So Randall came up with some rules, and I like the opposition ability. It allows a player to play with other units they never randomly get to play. If a player like me is a staunch Davian to the core, I'm more likely playing all the Davian mechs. But if I roll for opposition and I'm one of the other houses, then I got to pull from that house and play with those units. And it's a great way for new players to be able to go, hey, I don't know which way I want to go as far as my army. Let me just be opposition force, and I get to play with all the eggs, so to speak.
Yeah. I was thinking that because I do have an opposition force.
And nobody wants to play against my Craig and Day security, top flight security team.
And but that's a force that I think there's only one person that's actually faced that exact force, and that was Patrick when he was still down here. And he looked at the models he was facing going against me, and he's looking at him and he brought a salt mech style force. And he goes, "Oh my God, you're gonna get behind my back every single time." Oh my God! And it was funny. But they're also pretty much. Oh yeah, I wiped out his force with ease because of the fact that I could outmaneuver him. But that was just that, and I don't think he was really that into Alpha Strike at the time, so that was at a disadvantage on his point because he did things that I see other people when it's the first time they play Alpha Strike and they're coming from Classic. That they do, and so I know he got better at it toward later before he left, but it's still something that I always felt bad about it because if I could have salvaged his force, the force that would have landed on that ice planet that I went against you on, Randall, would have had a 2 stars of assaults. Slow as molasses, but you get too close, they would have wiped you off the planet.
And that's where the campaign makes you build your force for the environment. So I love building op4s that are completely random because I want to see what's going to happen. So we've got the random allocation tables linked in there. Again, try to make it as easy as possible.
Yeah,
I prefer that because I don't really like digging through the master unit list to find specific units. When it's my personal force, no problem. But when I'm playing an op4, this is going to be a ragtag thing. I think I had 6 vedettes in one of my forces. It was really silly. I had like 4, I think they were bulldog tanks. I'm sitting there like 1 point attacking the guy. But I whittled him down. I mean, my force, the op4 was designed to fail, but and it did its job well. But it still gave my opponent a pretty good fight.
Yeah. I think, to be honest with you, I think op missions, when you're the op4s, you are built to lose because the assaulting force, depends how many times they're in, they get to grow, where your op force, unless the rules have changed, really doesn't grow that much. You can't bring a 4 into it.
So let me correct you there. So the op4 is based off of the PV that you're bringing. So So when you first set up your campaign, so like Jose, you've got a 500 PV force that you're dropping on the planet. You tell me, hey, I've got 500 PV, and then I'll do a roll on the little table to see, am I going to get 100% of what yours is? In which case, I'm bringing 5. I might roll high. If I roll a 12, I'm bringing 140%. So I could be bringing like 600 PV. Or close to it, you know.
Yeah, but see,
in which case,
I understand that, but that doesn't scare me as much because
I just wanted to make sure that it's clear for the listeners here, because it's not just your mercenary force. It is so even if you had 3,000 PV force built up, and your op4 comes in, they say, hey, I'm only bringing 300 PV. You're not bringing your full 30,000 PV force. Right. You're bringing something that's at least comparable to what the opponent is. And the thought process with that is that your contracts are going to be asking you to bring a force that is big enough to accomplish the mission based off of your opposition. Right. Yeah. But the defender, so you've got the attacker and defender type of dynamic. The attacker usually comes in with a higher amount of PV initially, and then the defender will then build up with reinforcements coming from off the edge of the map. They'll start coming up, and if like what happens when I was going up against Jose here, he gets all of his rolls, he could actually have more PV in the force. So he ended up hitting me with 130% compared to my force. Yeah. And that's why I got wiped out. I was trying to do a retreat, trying to get to the drop ship, just couldn't do it. And
I think I got to your area of your drop ship the same time you got there.
Yeah.
And that was the true advantage in the game there, because at that point you're trying to get your units off the board, and I have a way to stop you by just doing enough damage to the drop ship that I can't lift off.
Yeah.
And therefore it has to surrender, or they're going to go kaboom. And which is pretty much what I did. And I think the other thing was you built that force for speed, and you had more combat. I think you only had 1 mech in that force.
Yeah, I had 2 mechs, and then everything else was combat vehicles.
Right, and those combat vehicles gave me hell, but it also kind of I had a full company of mechs plus combat vehicles and infantry units and everything else because of those good rolls I had. So I went from a 12 mech force, op force, to pretty much a combined arms force going up against you. I even had helicopters on Yeah, I even had a couple of warriors involved.
Yep.
So it made it an interesting closing game.
What?
Oh, there's something we haven't talked about, guys. We need to talk about how we take a lot of time from actually playing the game at the table by going on Roll20, uploading our maps, and doing all the pregame stuff, landing, searching for units, blah de blah, all that stuff on Roll20.
Yep.
And it's just something that I found funny because TK told me that was an idea he gave you, Randall, when the whole thing started. And I thought, it's like, oh, hey, but I haven't seen TK play in any of the
Yeah, he did an Op
campaign
4
games.
with me. Yeah, he did an Op 4 with me. He rolled really low on his Op 4 PV, so I came in with 200 PV. I play testing everything. I've played high PV and I've played low PV forces. And on this one, I rolled 300 PV. That was my starting. So I ended up with 200 PV worth of combat troops. And when TK took the mission, he rolled really low on his Op 4 PV. So he ended up with only like 120 or something compared to my 200. So it was a pretty comical battle. Once I killed 2 of his mechs, that was pretty much it. He didn't have anything else to fight me with.
Yeah, but I can imagine.
So yeah, as far as the map goes, so we've got a whole bunch of pre-generated maps. Some of them are based off of real locations here on Earth. Florida, for example.
Like Tampa Bay, I know. Yeah,
I got the Tampa Bay area, got Georgia, got some place in Tennessee, place in Texas. I think we've got. I think I've got Dresden over in Germany, Egypt, and then some that are just randomly generated that I thought were kind of cool and played around with. So those are all available on the links.
Yeah.
And what we did, getting back to what your point was, Jose, is we start out with a strategic phase. So you've got the world map in front of you. You choose your location where your dropships are going to land. And once you've landed, you start distributing your forces across the battlefields or across the map to get to where your objectives are.
Correct.
Yeah, so we did it initially by printing them out and meeting up at the game store, and we had little chits to kind of track like little radar blips on the map. That worked okay, but it's hard to get that much time together. So when we did the Roll20 thing, we just uploaded we exported the map as a JPEG and then uploaded it to Roll20. And then we were able to just move the blips, and we got together in an evening over Discord and over Roll20. Did all of our moves until we got to the point where our armies met. And we've actually had a couple campaigns where our armies never met. We never had to actually pull out the miniatures. Land right next to the objective, hit the objective quick. There weren't any defenders on the place.
Yeah.
Jump back on the dropship and get off floor as fast as possible before the opponent can do it.
Yeah, that can happen.
Yeah, hit and run. Just do it. But most of the time we do actually hit our little markers end up in the same hex. And that's when we bring out the actual battlefield.
Yeah. I think, I figured it would have happened sooner or later that would have happened. Because I can think of some of the missions where you're trying to rescue someone from a jail or hit a target, assassinate someone, stuff like that there. And if you get good intel and actually get to the point where that person's at, you can definitely do a hit and run and get out of there before the other force gets to you. But then again, we play tested the ECM rules.
Yeah, that was an interesting test. I think we've got those pretty well locked down. ECM and probe are always a complicating factor on like classic BattleTech, and it's pretty much the same with a campaign. So the ECM can hide your radar blips on the strategic map, but there's a chance that they fail. So
roll the dice.
Yeah, roll the dice.
But isn't there something about if You can be spotted if you are within 1 hex of a city or a town.
Yep. If you move move within 1 hex of any force, and we also have other special equipment like sonar probes, or not sonar probes, but sensor probes, so they can pick up your guy. So you can, as the defender, you can just basically spend a few PV and populate an entire area with probes and go, there's the ECM guy.
Yep, can do.
He showed up. But yeah, you got all sorts of options, and that's the thing is your creativity is really gonna spark.
That much is true.
It's only limited by your creativity. Is really
Jonathan
what it is.
Turon had the most ingenious way to be able to make a long tom go faster. Basically, towed it. I was like, you know what, dude? I applaud your ingenuity behind that. I was like, that's how you do it. And he was like, is this breaking the rule? I was like, no. You're actually implying some rules that are designed in Classic. You're also using rules designed in Alpha Strike to achieve it. Plus it's got its own security system that's towing it. I think he had like it was not an Atlas. It was a Battle Master he was using to help tow it around with everything. And I was like, dude, that's how you do it. You know, it's being creative. Another creativity in the campaign
That's
is
brilliant.
I captured a maximum transport, and I was like, I have no fast ambulances. So I just easily converted the inners of the infantry transport capacity to make it a medic unit. And that's what I was using through the whole entire game to transport my wounded from one side of the battlefield to the next. You know, I mean...
Yeah. You know, that's one unit I've learned. You have to have the hospital unit with your mercenary force, because that'll save you a lot of grief if your pilots get shot out of their mechs. You know, and that's a must. Mobile headquarters.
Let's talk about that
but maybe not the first time around.
Let's talk about that.
Maybe the second mission. But I'm putting it in the first.
Me and Randall.
That's our topic. Yeah.
As far as units, capabilities, one that stuck out the most and it kept scratching my head was, if I get the mobile HQ unit, what's the sense of upgrading its skills? It doesn't shoot at anything. It doesn't do anything but give me a plus modifier to my initiative. That's when we started looking at using the command skills inside Alpha Strike Rulebook and going, you know what? If you can turn around and get your guy down to skill 3 and 2, you actually unlock the ability to utilize the command. Yep. And that's part of the role playing.
Yeah, special command abilities.
This game is learning to utilize units that are there and how you use them. I mean, I love anything that gives you that you can put into and make it so much more. It made the mobile HQ unit now. You see it, you need to eliminate it or capture it. Period. Quickly. And the biggest thing is too.
I always go to capture.
You know, somebody's got a lot of PV and they go, I'll just buy me another level 2. No, that's one unit you have to start back at skill 4.
Well, yeah, that makes sense, because you lost the people that were in there probably captured. And are the rules still in effect that if you have any of your units captured, you have to pay a ransom?
Yep, there's a ransom.
Yeah, it's definitely
good enough.
Almost all of the basic things that Randall did with the rules was the one thing we've been doing with all these resets is trimming the fat from the game. I didn't want one player to come in and go, 5 missions later, I got a regiment. No mercenary unit in the history of BattleTech has ever grown from a company to a regiment in a matter of weeks. It just doesn't happen.
And one mission.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things I found in the campaign ops too. It was like, okay, well, you've spent, 3.2 billion C-bills on building your force, and then your pay is like 100,000 C-bills. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
that won't even cover your repair costs. So finding that balance from starving to death on the battlefield to walking away with riches galore every mission has been a little bit of a challenge, but I think we've got it
some of the
dialed
great
in
things
pretty well with this latest one.
Also about this campaign is capturing units. One of the missions, Randall was like, "Hey, Brad, your army's pretty strong and pretty good. You're not savory in tech." He goes, "I got a mission for you, but you're gonna take it." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll take it. What is it?" Without even asking, without saying anything, he was like, "You got to hit a clan world." I was like, "Ah, crap! Here we go. The ultimate test. Go through the." Yep.
Yeah.
Everything was randomly rolled, and that's what I love about it, because I don't know what I'm doing until
we got into
the mission gets rolled
with each other in our forces, and we were like, okay. One of us was waiting to go for a cat and mouse approach, and I just said, "Screw this. We're playing lore." So I openly challenged Randall as commander of my mercenary force to challenge the commander of the garrison force to a one-on-one duel, and we transitioned it from playing Alpha Strike to Classic. And well, long story short, I got lucky on an opening salvo and hit his LRM launcher that took half the mech away, and I was like, wow. I captured Randall, captured him, made him surrender.
Yeah, completely destroyed my torso.
Air Force, because I bid it.
First shot.
Bid was if I beat him in one-on-one contest, I'd get free exit off the planet. I'd get the aerospace fighters above and keep any salvage that I found. But if he had beaten me, he would have been able to claim victory over me and take my whole army as capture. That would have been funny if the roles had been reversed. But make long story short, even after that campaign mission, I had captured him. Clans don't take ransom warriors back. Once you're captured and claimed by another, you can't be taken freely back. So I took him in, and he was in one of my lances, and he fought a couple battles for me. Skill 2 out there. Just
being a bondsman kind of sucks. But you still get to fight.
That's one thing that I like about this is everything about the campaign. If you ever wanted to play something fun, really wanted to have some great time, Randall really put together a book that even I was like, yo, this is gold. This right here has everything, and it's so simplified. Every campaign is cumbersome. There's no two bones of way around it. Track PV, track damage. That makes it cumbersome. But with the rules and the way that everything is put together, it's not so cumbersome. It's pretty, this is the way it is, and it's simple math. You just got to do it on multiple parts, you know?
Yeah, anybody who played a classic BattleTech campaign doing the battle math with that, just, individual C-bills was ridiculous. So simplifying things, streamlining it down to PV, that alone streamlined a ton of stuff. But yeah, then I've got the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet does most of the math for you, so you don't even have to worry about it.
Is that the spreadsheet that has been online for a while now?
Yeah, and it's in... Well, one of the first pages in the book is a list of links. Right. So you've got the list for, the videos to give you the introduction, the force building video to tell you how to build your force, and then it has the campaign rules, and then the change log, and then the spreadsheet, the campaign log.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I see. I just found the June 4th, 2023.
Yep, that's the latest and greatest right now.
Okay, good enough. I'll have to look at it a little later.
Yeah, one of the newest sections in there is the complications, and I'm just trying to come up with silly things and things that would kind of throw things off. And this is completely optional, but we've got things like aerospace bias. So there's a 50 for every unit that you roll. There's a 50% chance that it's aerospace. So for whatever reason, your Op4 has focused too much on aerospace. Then there's like the celebrity negotiator. So every time you try to attack a city there's a chance that the celebrity will pop up, and you could risk getting infamy, which will negatively impact you later on with contract roles. But some of these are pretty funny. You got fanatical defenders, insurrection, harriers. You've got a heist that's going on. So in the middle of a battle, some guys are trying to rob a bank. You could potentially grab them from there. Yeah, just different options all across the board. Newest ones that I added in there was like the traitor. So one of your own forces is a traitor. And at some point, they get revealed and switch sides.
Oh.
Yeah,
shit.
That one should be fun.
Yeah, I've got a couple mechs that if they go to the other side, I'm in trouble. That sounds like fun, though. I mean, I like the changes that are coming then, because it keeps the game fresh and a lot of fun. So that sounds great, actually. Now, if I can only get it to save to my drive, I'll do it tomorrow when I work. Yeah. It's been, I like the changes that are coming. Definitely sounds like it's going to open things up a little more. But Randall, will it keep Bradley from going ballistic on us?
Probably not. Bradley is definitely the hardest player I have consistently fought, and I've only beaten you maybe 3-4 times out of probably 30. Yeah,
0 for me,
and it's because of the tactics. It is definitely because of tactics.
Yeah, now, I agree.
There's always the random die. So one of the times that I beat him is me and Connor versus Bradley. Now even PvE on both sides, and Bradley's dice, he'd need a 3 and he'd roll a 2. That kind of nonsense. The odds of him missing were ridiculous.
So you're talking the luck he had at the LVO this year.
Oh yeah, and we just wiped him out.
Yeah, you can't always. But
it happens, man. It happens. I've had a few games here in Armada like that where I couldn't roll a 12. I would need a 12 in order to even have a chance to hitting, and I'd roll 2s. Just totally opposite end. But that's fine. It's just annoying to me. That's all.
Yep.
But it happens to everybody. I mean, I've seen other people get in a rut, and when they get in that rut, everything goes downhill. But no more raiding of Star League era base and pulling out 24 mechs. Oh yeah, well, definitely.
There are ruins. You could potentially find Star League stuff, but
the chance of a full company of clean Star League era mechs are nil to none.
Yeah,
and the last version.
Oh yeah, it's still next to nothing.
Yeah,
you shouldn't actually find more than 1 or 2 functional things in ruins anyway.
Yeah. And then do you have enough? And then do you have enough pilots that you can take those mechs off the field?
Right.
Or you're gonna have to drag them off. But I like the rules. Is it still that you can get a technician, or if you have like a squad of the engineers, one of the engineers can pilot one of those mechs off the field?
Yeah. So any infantry unit can basically suffer 1 point of damage to find a pilot or crew for a unit. So the idea is that it's not just your pilot. You've got some support personnel that go with them.
Yeah.
So think of it as like 7 guys out of your platoon basically get peeled off, and they're like, "You guys are the crew. There you go."
Yeah. On my other force, the one that's been retired, I had 10 names that I can use as replacements or use as technicians or infantrymen that can pilot different units.
Gotta have
and
that.
I had a weight class assigned to each of them.
Definitely, you need to
where
have
they
that
can handle up to this weight class.
Player from going
small, medium, large.
Not everyone that you get knows how to drive a hovercraft, a tank, or what type of different weight classes. Yeah, so it's key to do that, man. Good job on that.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to think, what would Bradley do in this case? Besides drop another tired dropship and build 36 mechs on it, all Star League era, and wipe my forces out.
No.
That's fine.
Well, that's because...
That's fine. Yeah, my second sword of light hasn't had that much luck against Bradley.
So Bradley, you've just become the BattleTech Jesus.
I'll take that.
What would Bradley do?
You know what I mean?
Fair. Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing is there's room open for everything. We got alternate ammo, special abilities, special pilot abilities, special command abilities. New uses of equipment that was never used in classic BattleTech, like the coolant truck. You can use it in combat to actually help your force. Yeah, we created some rules.
Interesting.
Yeah, hose it down. So instead of making an attack, you treat it like it's a short-range flamethrower, but instead of creating heat, you're reducing heat.
So you can reduce the heat of a mech that's in trouble.
Yep. So you overheat by 1 at the end of the turn. In the same round that he overheats by 1, your coolant truck can reduce his heat by 1. So he can constantly shoot 1 overheat as long as you got that coolant truck hosing him down each round.
So the coolant truck becomes a massive target.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's the thought.
You know,
and it's a shame that the Kickstarter doesn't have
a
coolant truck in the mix as an objective. Well, they have a next objective
box. I got 2 mobile HQs. I might have to go back and look. I think I might have 2
coolant truck.
I just never did anything with them.
I think I got 4 mobile headquarters. I have 4 hospital units, all thanks to Randall. And I don't have a coolant truck. I have to get one from Iron Winds, but I don't need it just yet. That would put my total force over 500 PV.
I love 3D printing. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. Well, I've been having fun printing vehicles on my small 3D printer. I finally found out what happened to my Ender, and I got the part on order, so it should be fixed shortly, so I can start printing more buildings.
Okay.
On that one. So yeah, but it's one of those things where I understand why you like it, Randall. I understand it. It's fun watching something you wanted and hold it in your hand and just go, nice. Now I have one of these.
Yeah.
I don't know if Bradley told you, but I printed a broadsword dropship, table size.
No, I haven't seen that one yet. No.
I'll share a picture with you later of it, and I also have one that's crashed because it had a issue with the infill wasn't the right for it, so it kind of collapsed.
Gotcha.
So it's a crash wreckage site. But the other one looks nice. The bottom, not so bad, but no one's going to see the bottom.
Right.
So, yeah, that's something I still have to learn how to do. When I print out aerospace units, Bradley can tell you, I'm struck. The top looks great. The sides look great. The bottoms, oh my God, how do you hide that?
Yeah.
Well,
I get it.
90% of the time you're not looking at the bottom, so that's positive.
I gave you
Talk to Bradley about that.
What to do with that. It seems like it would fit.
Yeah. Well, let's put it this way. I got 4 of them that are going to be like crashed on an airfield. Destroyed units on the ground. Stuff like that there.
Now you're using a filament printer, so
yes, I am. Yeah.
Being able to get a good quality print out of a filament printer on a miniature is very difficult.
Yeah,
but
I got it.
I've heard you can flip it 30 degrees at an angle. You'll use more filament to create a base for it, but it'll give you better results overall.
Negative.
That didn't work for you?
Nope.
Hmm.
And it's just annoying to me. The funny thing is, I put 2 Cardinal VTOLs, and the only thing that did not come out perfect, the bottom was fine, everything was fine, were the 2 propellers on each one. So they're propellerless right now, but that's okay.
I've been working with magnetized rotors. So
yeah, well, that's what I'm doing with my VTOLs. I have them magnetized to the unit, and I have a magnet on the top and the bottom, so I can attach them to a stand, and then attach a. I buy the plastic 3 or 4 blade prop ones from Fortress. Yeah, Fortress, in 3 different sizes. So I have options on what size I have. The smaller sizes for sprints, medium sizes are for my other choppers. Large probably is going to be for the one that Bradley loves so much to use. I forget the name of it now.
The BattleTech.
BattleTech. Yeah, I got yeah, definitely. But to me, it's been fun learning how to use the 3D printer, and now I'm learning how to fix 3D printers.
Yeah, tuning a 3D printer is kind of a pain.
Well, mine has an auto leveling system. They both do. My little tiny one, I haven't had an issue with since I've had it. The other one, I had a clog. And now, after the clog, one of the sensors that tells it stop moving over to this direction is busted, so it just keeps going. Oh, well, that's life. Life of a 3D printer, It is what it is. Hey, but we've gotten off track now. We're talking about another topic, because I know in your campaign, unlike some other game BattleTech systems, you can use 3D printed mechs, and you can use stuff from the MechWarrior Online version of the game, which their imp is a lot more impressive than the Iron Wind Metals supersized trash can imp.
Yeah.
And I think it's fun that we can do that.
I mean, the campaign doesn't have anything to do with what units you can, like what miniatures you can bring on the table. But yeah, I personally encourage, for anything other than official, Catalyst Labs things, use whatever you've got.
I loved it.
We had a player who was brand new. He came out with some Legos, and that was his units.
Hey.
But it worked.
Yeah. Well, let's put it this way. My we can now roll and like I can be a Capellan as an op force.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Woohoo! Yes. I have 16 mechs now.
You could be you can be clan. So I just recently rolled up my next mission, and I'm running a Draconis Combine associated force. The my op 4 is also Draconis Combine. So we got a little bit of a Civil War thing going on. I've got to put.
Well, when you think about it, that could be when the Black Dragon Society, I think is what they were called, went against Theodore Kurita.
Yep, there's always some minor household who's stepping out of line that gets smacked back.
Yeah. Because I'm thinking of changing the story of my Azure Dragon swords. Before, they were a Kurita disgraced mech warriors that started their own mercenary company. Obviously, this was during Takashi's reign, so he would have killed his own Kurita-born mercenaries. But it was fun playing them for a while. But I think I'm going to reskin them. Same logo, same everything, but reskin them to a different force, or a different origin story, just to change it up, with no loyalty to, no loyalty to Kurita. Although I do have a Kurita force, I now have those 2 sets of 8 mechs that I purchased for you, the green ones. Randall. They're now
Yeah,
My Capellans.
Yeah, I had a whole bunch of older units that I was selling off there.
Yeah, and they look good still. I mean, I look at that and I'm going, wow, those are my best painted mechs, and I didn't paint them. That's good. Yeah.
I do
Now,
like
guys,
buying pre-painted mechs. It's easy that way.
yeah. Well, that's what I did with part of my Carita forces. I bought some 4 pre-painted mechs from an eBay user, an eBay guy, and now I have a guy locally here at Armada who saw those mechs and he says, "Hey, how come the rest of your mechs are just painted red?" I says, "Because I haven't gotten to paint them like this." And he goes, "Give them to me. I'll paint them. I'll paint them. I'll paint them." And he's going to do that for me as a favor because I've done. Did you guys see the force that I sold for $20 of all those combat vehicles? He's the guy that's going to be. Okay, well, he's the guy that purchased them from me, and he's having a blast. He's going to be building his own campaign force, and he might be able to head out to critical hits, or he might invite you guys to come over to Armada to play some Alpha Strike games. But he lives down in Riverview, so it's hard to get him to come up to either. But we'll find a way to get him involved and a couple other people involved. I don't know if Connor's redone his force yet or not. And it's a shame we lost Tony, because I found his ice world, Siberia, to be the most difficult of all the worlds my forces have landed on.
Yeah, if you step out on the ice and fall through, it could be a very bad day.
Yeah. I want to try his NAM.
That one's tough with all the... You either have to stay on the roads, in which case that's a really good ambush spot.
Yeah.
Or if you venture into the woods, it's slowing you down really bad.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of those that I looked at and I'm going, Tony really makes some dangerous planets to land on. Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah. Well, guys, we've been on for over an hour. And we've gone from campaign to 3D printing, now back to campaign. There's still a lot to talk about on the campaign side, I think. For instance, building your own world using the hexographer program.
Yeah, hexographer is a topic on its own. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely a topic on its own. And tips and things like that we can give them on how to use it in order to build your own world. And there's that. And then there's the individual rules for what you need to roll at a certain site in order to at least get a poster of the Star League to show up as something you can salvage. That kind of stuff. And all the quirks and stuff, and we can bring that up as another topic later on down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've enjoyed it, Bradley, ever since I started playing it. I mean, that and 350 format are my two favorite formats of playing Alpha Strike.
Oh,
right now. The campaign itself. So if it gets better, I'm even more happy about it.
Stop anybody from coming in and say, "Hey, I played last weekend against this person, and I gained 2 companies of mechs." That's the whole reason. If it's easy for me to do,
well, that prevents someone from being another Bradley, but that's okay.
And if I want to make it a challenge, it should be fair across the board. And I think Randall's really listened to me when I say, "Hey, man, this is too big. We got to trim the fat down." Can a mercenary unit be enlarged by a mech lance? Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be an overnight success story. Unless you hit it big on a mission.
Yeah. Well, that's why. Like I said, that's why I built my current 5.4 force. My current reiteration was a driving source at 7 mechs.
Your level of your reputation Gaining reputation is pretty easy to do in the game. For one, you take a mission, you get 1. You succeed, you get 1. You have nobody die, that's a 1. If you take a heavy objective, that's a +2. You make an enemy surrender, you capture a dropship. Those reputations help you gain more missions, more PV, and opens the door to new technology for you. So, oh yeah, that's
But do
all
you
in
still
there.
have?
That's all in
Do we
there.
still have negative points? Like if you
Yep.
take out
Infamy.
take out a hospital, take out a school.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
Okay, good enough.
Plus, there's
Good enough.
infamy.
I highly recommend
That well,
if
yeah,
anybody's looking for an
yep,
opportunity to play a campaign
yep.
game and
That's
go, you know what, I
that's
want
what was
something a
slowing
little
me
bit
down.
challenging, but also be fun and have everything in it. Download this off the web page. Randall can tell us where it's at again. You're not going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
Yep, it's currently on Alpha Strike International, BattleTech International Alpha Strike. Also on Central Florida BattleTech. There are pinned links on the top of each of those groups on Facebook. And once you get in there, there's links to the actual document as well as all the updates and videos. So if you're not sure if you want to download the whole book, just take a look at the video. It takes 5 minutes, explains it really concisely.
And I also recorded a game between Bradley and Jonathan Hedelman. A total of 8 hours of coverage, and I put it out on my personal YouTube channel. It's long, guys. It is long. You'd rather read it than see it. I'll tell you now.
Yeah.
It is long. But it definitely covered a lot of the rules at that point in time. I think that was a year ago. Yeah.
Yeah, there really hasn't been much significant change in 2 years. So we had the vast majority of everything in there. The bare bones was there. We've just been, over the last 2 years, been tweaking things here and there, finding things that are explained, that could be explained better, rewording things, finding little glitches, like with the hiring and the contract thing, where that originally it was a guaranteed benefit, and now it's a little more random, but it still gives you a better chance of getting a good result.
Good. No, that's good. That's good. There's one thing about the last rule set that I saw. The maximum amount you can be transferred was 32 units, I think.
That's what the employer will pay to ship you. You can always bring more.
No, I understand that, but I'm thinking to myself, doesn't an overlord can take 36?
That's trimming the fat.
But the employer will only pay for up to 32.
Fair enough. Okay, that's fine.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I already know that. I mean, per rules, infantry can ride in infantry transport vehicles.
Right.
So if you have cover, you can go over that 32 limit by having your infantry ride the hovers, the hover transports.
Yeah, as far as the transportation over the jump ship, we don't count infantry or battle armor. You only count vehicles, combat vehicles, mechs, and proto-mechs and aerospace units.
Yeah.
So,
but don't they get automatically aerospace units on board
freebies.
The dropship, or does that count as to your units?
That would count as your units.
Okay.
So there's no freebies. Now you do have the support cards, the battlefield support, and that allows you to bring in, strikes and things. But those are kind of the NPC. That's your employer paying for stuff. So you spend PV to call in this strike, and they're like, okay, wire me the funds now.
Yeah, it looks like you're going to be using up a lot of your initial payment on your first few missions on the support. Oh, well. Hey, is there a limit to the number of support cards?
Oh, nobody coming in the game with like a heavy hand and going.
I think we said
down.
6 per battle.
And you can't use the aerospace fighter ones unless you turn around and have aerospace fighters already.
Okay.
No, that's not a rule. No, the rule is that you can spend, I think it's up to, you can buy up to 6 cards or 6 battlefield support attacks.
All right, guys, I got
They
to cut
have
and
to
run.
be aerospace or
Yeah, thanks for
minefields or something
today.
that can be deployed. No artillery.
Okay. Alrighty, guys. Hey, no problem. Sorry that I'm sad that Ronald had a problem and couldn't contribute today. But guys, this has been the Mobile Headquarters podcast. Hope you enjoyed this. There'll be a second edition of the campaign probably next month, maybe the months after that when we get down time to do so. In the meantime, have a good night,
Bye-bye.
everybody. And make sure you listen to your commanders or not.
All right.
All right. Take care, guys.
See you, Bradley. Yeah, so there's a lot in there that could be trimmed if you wanted to cut some stuff out.
Yeah.